Good evening, everybody.
It's good to have you on. This is Big Mike. Big Mike, can you talk to everybody about who you are, what you're doing, and how you
Well, yeah, sure. My name is Miguel Castillo, right? But no one calls me that. Everybody calls me Mike or Big Mike. Um, and I'm a writer, but funny enough, I don't consider myself a writer. Like I'm by trade, I'm a boxing coach and I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've been working at a gym in the West Village for about the last 14 to 15 years, but I'm 47 years old and I've been training people, I kid you not, since I was 15 years old.
oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been a boxing coach since I was like 15, 16 years old. And um what happened was when I was a kid, I was morbidly obese. I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6'1", but at the age of 13, 14, I was 315 pounds. And then one day my dad was just like, "Yo, bro, if you don't get your stuff together, you're gonna die of a heart attack." And he took me to a boxing gym, and I've never come out the boxing gym. And in like 6 months, less than a year, I went from 315 pounds to 180 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and then I just started fighting and went to the Golden Gloves. And then a lot of my friends were like, "Dude, like I want to do a transformation like you." And I didn't know what I was doing, but just a lot of on the job training. I just started training my friends and helping my friends get in shape. And then I helped another kid get into the military, and then I kind of always wanted to go to the military, and I ended up joining the Marines at 18. And in the Marines, I was a cook. Um, and I just went on a lot of adventures, and that's how I kind of started writing, just like writing about my
Mhm.
adventures in the military. And then I became a police officer in 2005, and I was like, my lifelong dream was to become a cop. All I ever wanted to do was be a cop, and then I became a cop. 2005 was okay. 2006 was okay, and then I started to not like the job. Like I'm not I'm not putting it down being a police officer. Like being I'm not anti-police. Being a policeman is a very important job, but it's just not what I thought it was. And I became very discouraged and very disenchanted with what I thought being a policeman was gonna be. And I found that I wasn't serving the people how I wanted to serve the people. So I just started doing stupid stuff, hanging out with bad cops. There are a lot of good cops out there. I started hanging out with the bad cops. And somehow I got involved in police corruption. And a partner of mine was like, "Yo, let's commit a robbery." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Yeah, fine. That sounds like a smart thing to do." And me being the idiot that I was, I hey, what's up, Haiti? Um, I participated in this crime. We got caught, and I ended up getting sentenced to 5 years in prison. Um, During those 5 years of prison, right? Maybe I think it was maybe like 4.5 years or something like that. They let me go. They shaved a couple months off of my sentence for good behavior and stuff. But out of that whole time I was there for 3.5 years, I was in solitary confinement. And for some people, solitary confinement is a very hard thing, and it broke a lot of people. I saw a lot of people harm themselves. I saw someone kill themselves. I saw a lot of people lose their minds. But for me, it was a very I'm not religious, but for me it was a very soul opening, educational experience. I'm very lucky I had a very strong familial support system. My mom, I would not have been able to make it without my mom, my brother, or my wife. My cousin, like they got me subscriptions to magazines like The New Yorker, newspapers like the New York Times. I've read the Daily News every day. I've read the New York Post, and I had a subscription to the New York Times book review. And every week, and I would, pick a book or two off of the bestsellers list, and I would just like get books and books and books after books. So, while a lot of people lost their minds because they shrank inward, like I shrank into my books, and my mind expanded. And while I was reading, I started reading a lot of memoirs, and I was thinking like, I think I'm ready to become a writer. And I think like how my memoir started was I kind of confessed my whole crime, everything. But like in my whole life, I just started bleeding it onto paper like a memoir, like. And I would write a lot of people. Like I had like, I had my wife, I had friends from high schools, I had friends from college, right? And I would just like, I was just perfecting my crying of the crime to everybody. And I was like, dude, like you kind of got a knack for writing. Like you got to keep on writing. And then I promised myself when I got out that, you know what, I'm gonna write my own book. I'm gonna write, but I didn't know how to do that. When I got out of prison, I think I got out of prison in 2011. Yeah, I think I got out of prison in 2011, and I literally stayed home for about a month and a half or something like that. And I watched all of Netflix. Everything that was on Netflix, I watched all of Netflix, right? And then when I ran through Netflix, I was like, you know what? I need to get out of here and go get a job. And the first place that I went to was like I went to this place that was like America Works. And then they sent me to this gym, and the gym where I'm at now, Gotham Gym. Woo. So I went to that gym and I started working there like on the first day that I got there. And I've just been working there ever since. In 2015, the Marines called me back up. And the Marines were like, hey, dude, you got to go back to school because if you don't go back to school by 2020, you're going to lose all of your Montgomery GI benefits, right? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I got a good job at this gym and I'm making decent money. I'm taking care of my family. I don't think I want to go back to school. He's like, well, what are you doing at your job? And I'm like, I'm a personal trainer. He was like, well, why don't you go back to school to become a personal trainer legit? Like you can do exercise physiology, you could do sports science. And I was like, I don't think I got the time. He's like, dude, you got the time, man. Listen, not only are we going to pay for your tuition, um, we'll pay you $5,000 a month, cash, tax free. Right, like Barack Obama just signed this thing, Bush just signed this thing. All you gotta do is enroll in school, and I was like, cash, $5,000 a month, I'm there, right? So like, say no more, and I signed up, and I ended up getting my associates in exercise physiology. Then I got a second associates, and then I transferred to another school, and I ended up getting my bachelor's of science in sports science, right? But before I before I graduated to get my bachelor's, right? They were like, dude, you can't graduate right now because you have too much science, too much math, biology, anatomy, and stuff. You need some art. And and I was like, all right, well, whatever. I'll get those art electives or whatever. And I saw a couple of classes. One was like the history of photography. Another one was like the history of television. And then the other one was like uh writing for television, right? And so I took the writing for television class. I signed up for all three classes. It was pretty insane because like my last semester I had to do like 22 credits in order to graduate. If I didn't do all 22 credits, the Marines wouldn't pay for it. So I was like, I don't want to pay for school. So like I'm gonna take as many classes as I need in order to not pay for school because paying for school sucks. Right? So like, uh, um so I signed up for this class, and then the old lady in the class, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say old lady, the professor, who's a wonderful human being, I was writing all these stories about the military, about the police, about prison and stuff. And she was like, Mike, you're such a great writer. Like, how are you coming up with these stories? And I was like, I'm not coming up with these stories. Like I was a Marine, I was a cop. I'm just putting it down, how it happened. These are the facts, right? And she was like, "Well, you got a real knack for this. Like you shouldn't. In fact, you should apply to the MFA program here at LIU." And I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "No, trust me. Like you might win a scholarship or whatever." So I went to the master's program at LIU, and I submitted my work. Man, dude, this is great. And he was like, "But I'm gonna tell you something, and I shouldn't tell you something." He's like, "The program here sucks, and we might be losing funding. So I would hate for you to get accepted in here, and then halfway through the semester you lose your funding, and then you're stuck with a bill, right?" He's like, "You should apply to NYU because NYU has a ton of money, and you might get in." And I called NYU and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to apply for the MFA program," and they was like, "Well, apply." Um, and good luck. And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know how to do it online, blah, blah. Like, I need somebody to help me." And then I told him my whole story. And the guy was like, "Wait, you was a cop? What? You was in prison?" I was like, "Look, you need to email this person, blah, 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 and we'll see what we can do." And I applied. They helped me how to do the application. And I learned so much about myself during that application process, right? Like I must have wrote that story to get in about 30 times, right? I must have wrote about 30 times to get it right. And I have friends looking at it. And then when I got accepted, it was like, "Dude, not only are we accepting you, we're gonna give you a full ride." And I was like, "What?" Like, dude, like the tears were like falling down my face. And then it was like, "Not only are we gonna give you a scholarship, we're gonna give you a fellowship." And I was like, "Whoa, what's the fellowship?" And it was like, "Where you gotta teach." And I was like, "I don't know anything about teaching." It was like, "Aren't you a sergeant in the Marines?" I was like, "Yeah." It was like, "Aren't you a coach at a boxing gym?" I was like, "Yeah." It was like, "It's the same thing. You just gotta stay a couple chapters ahead of your students and stuff." And it was the best experience of my life, man. Like I just learned so much about myself and about reading and about writing. And I wrote my memoir there during my last year. It was a 2-year program. I wrote my memoir there. And since 2022, I've been shopping it around, growing it, editing it, regrowing it, re-editing it, and trying to get an agent and publish it. I don't want to self-publish. I want to traditionally publish, right? Like I think I come from a line of students that like, yeah, I kind of want to do it the old way, the traditional way. I think I can. If I was to do it by myself, I probably could get a little traction, but I want to do it, like how the students that where I come from have done it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's just that's a crazy story.
That's a crazy
First of
story,
all,
right? Like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
just like, wow. Okay, I got that out the way. Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing, before we started this call, you were telling me
oh,
that
we haven't
you
started yet. That
that you were
was the warm up.
afraid of public speaking, and then you just told this 10-minute story nonstop, no cuts, and it was great. It was just, I think you have not only the ability to write the memoir and shop it, but you have the
Yeah.
ability to do something like a
It's
TED
weird.
talk.
I, I think that a lot of the things that I do it out of fear, you know? Um, we were talking about like just jumping into the deep end, right? Because we were talking for like 3 or 4 minutes before the live started. But like, um, I, like I've always known that I can do like races and stuff. And like I jumped into the first time I did a marathon, it was just like no training. I was just like, yo, I can do it. And the same thing with like I jumped into a triathlon with like no training. I just jumped into the deep end. Like I swam a mile and a half, like bike 56 miles and then ran 13 miles after that. It was like no training. I was like, everything I do, I always just kind of jump into the deep end and just like, we'll figure it out as we go. Like, I never really, yeah, like, yeah.
That's interesting because most people have trouble getting started versus, just continuing to do something. So what is it that is about jumping into the deep end that really speaks to you and the way that you operate?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's funny, right? Because like I'm writing about that I have, and I think that in order to become a successful writer, you have to have a sense of like commitment. Like I like to commit to things, and this might sound funny, whatever. Like right before I did my crime, you know, my partner was like backing out, like, dude, maybe we shouldn't go through with this, and I was like, dude, we already committed to this, man. We got to go through with it. So it's like if I sign up for a race, I'll be like, no matter how long this race is, you know what, we gotta finish this race. If I signed up to school, like a lot of times, believe it or not, even like I felt I was so challenged and I was so tired. Like I went back to school at the age of 37 and I was married. I had 2 kids. But I was like, oh, maybe I'm just not cut out. And then they're like, you know what? No, man, I signed that contract. I'm ready to do this, and I had to write it out. And the same thing with grad school, and it's the same thing with writing a book, right? It's like I'm the type of person, like once all right, man, I decided a long time ago. I promised myself, I'm gonna start this book and I'm gonna finish this book. A lot of times I get down on myself because like I'm like, all right, I finished this book in 2022, and I'm still not. It's still not published, But like the more that I hang out with writers, with authors and stuff, and I attend these I attend these conferences and stuff. I love it when I hear a writer like, yeah, well, the first seed to this book started 14 years ago, and I was like, wow, okay, that makes me feel good. Then I'm not I'm not alone in this journey. A lot of people are used to having things right away, and they expect success to be the same thing, right? But like, there was a quote somewhere, like overnight success takes a long time. So I think that's where that's from. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Every journey starts with a single point,
With a single step, right?
and
Yeah.
you never see the journey, someone's success journey. You just see, the end result, and you see the fame and all this stuff. But
Right, right. But there's a lot of
most people
stuff
put in
behind
like
it.
hundreds of thousands of hours in the craft doing the thing. A lot of people get rejections, and it's just the fact that you can be resilient and you have the ability to keep your promises, I think, is the important thing about it, and not giving up when the first signs of failure might come. Hattie has
Right,
a
right,
question for
right.
us. What are some things you are doing to get your book traditionally published?
Oh yeah, hey Haiti. So yeah, I mean, I'm queering. I'm out there. I have a lot of rejections actually. Right now, I've taken a break from queering, right? Um, I attended a conference a couple months ago, and I have one agency that's showing a little interest in me, and I'm working with them. I'm going back and forth. I for the first time ever, I hired an editor, and I'm working with this editor, and he gave me a lot of positive feedback, and I'm just like plugging away on that. I think that I'm just trying to get ready for my next wave of queries, right? And I'm gonna query for my next wave of query. I'm probably gonna do like 4 or 5 queries at a time. Wait, see what I get back, and then just work on that. And uh, I think and I think a lot of authors really believe in their work, but I really, really believe in my work. So that's why I haven't stopped. And I think that within the next year, the next 6 months, I'll probably get published, or at least secure some type of deal.
Mhm. Are you looking to do with one of the big publishers, or you're looking at
Yeah, that's my goal. That's my goal. But I'm also like, yes, I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's what I want to do. I want to do it the traditional route. Right? I want to go with one of the big publishers. And I won't lie, it's solely because like so many people who in the cohort that I'm a part of, that's the way that they're doing it, right? But whatever, everybody's journey is the same, Like I mean, I could come out and self publish and hit something out the park on the first try, So it's just like everybody's journey is different, but like I just want to do it traditionally because I think it'll make my journey that much more sweet.
yeah. Just I think the story from where you started to where you would have a traditionally published book, even though you did all of these things that could be perceived as negative. I'm sure they were. It speaks to the fact that people can change, right? And the fact that you went into solitary and you developed essentially a new version of yourself through that isolation and through
Yes, yeah.
reflection, you were able to really become a better person. And I think that's a powerful lesson, especially for people who have done those things or similar types of things and can learn to evolve from it. It just doesn't define you as a person.
One,
It
I agree.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I want to like, you know, I want to. I don't know how to word this properly, and it's something that I'm working on. I also want to talk about like because I believe I'm an exception, right? And I'm not gonna say like that I'm special or anything because I'm not. I'm just a regular guy. And I make mistakes every day. I make a lot of mistakes. What I the only exceptional thing about me is like that I don't quit. You know, like I'm hard headed, but I before I went to prison, I was of the ilk. You know, like yo, lock everybody up, man. Fuck that. You know, like everybody like that's the only, and prison doesn't work, man. Prison doesn't work. Again, I'm very lucky that I have um a family that supported me and and was able to keep me sane and able to keep me emotionally and mentally healthy and stable and through books, through education, right? Like I've read so much, like and I wrote so much, right? But that's not that's not the case with a lot of other people who are in prison right now. The people in prison are uh lacking so much, right? And that's why the rates of uh recidivism are so high. So many people are coming out of prison and they don't have any kind of faculties or anything, and then of course, um service, right? I'm very lucky that like I was able to serve my country. And then when I got out of prison, I was able to fall back on the Montgomery GI Bill and go back to school and utilize all of those services that I had waiting for me, right? And I was able to learn more and educate myself, right? And able to complete the transformation, right? Because I believe a lot of my transformation didn't happen in prison. Prison, it was tough, but nothing happened to me in prison, you know? Like if any but like all the growing happened to me through books, through reading, through writing, through that self-reflection. Like prison for me was almost like a vacation.
Hmm.
If 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 you can believe that, right? Like because like all I did was read in there, right? But like some people don't like sometimes, and I don't know how to say this, but sometimes I miss it, right? Like because as a father of three children, right? As as a father of three children, as a man who works like 90 hours a week and stuff, like I'm a married man, right? So it's just like I have no time. Like sometimes, like I'm a very fast reader, like for class, for school, because I'm in school again. I'm doing a second MFA right now. I'm at Hattonville University. Let's go Valiants. um, but like like I'll read something super fast, but it'll go in one ear and out the other, right? So it's just like I don't. But like in prison, like I've read all these books, right? And I had nothing but time. Like sometimes I read two books a day while I was in prison, right? And sometimes I miss that because I'll never have that time again. You know what I'm saying? I'll never have that time again to just read for pleasure. And when I was reading for pleasure, right? When I was reading for emotional growth, when I was reading to heal, right? Those books like changed my life. And then Hattie said, was there a particular book that really gave me hope? Um, yeah, yeah. Like, um, when like Stephen King's Shawshank Redemption. Like that was an amazing book. The whole Harry Potter series, I know it's fantasy, but it's just like, I think that when you're in such a bleak, desolate place like prison, right? Like you need to fly away. And I was able to submerge myself in the Harry Potter universe, right? Um and then when I discovered like authors like, Junot Diaz and Angie Cruz, Petey Thomas, I was like, oh my God, these people are speaking in my language, like ellos están hablando español como yo lo hablo. I was like, oh my God, and I even, once I read these guys, I was like, yo, I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna do it just like them, because like I can write in Spanish. I can write in English, I can write in Spanglish. Like I'm from the same neighborhood that they're from, so yeah, like I want to talk against, at least like there's got to be some kind of prison reform, right? Because prisons do not rehabilitate as much as people think they do. All prisons do is break people, right? And I don't know how to explain it. Like, and I'm not saying like I'm the toughest person in the world, but like I'm an exception. I'm weird. Like, so it's like the only reason that I didn't break or die is because of books and reading and writing and my family. But I want to, like, we have to change everything, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get there, with time. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I think that if you have your book traditionally published and you build up like an audience and a following for that, that is one of the powerful ways in order to help more people, right? So it's not the fact that you're just trying to help yourself through being published. You're really trying to spread the message and the things that you've learned by being in prison and doing bad things that really informs a larger group of people in order to help them. It's not a selfish thing, although it could be a little bit selfish, but really the reason that we write and do these types of things is to really help other people, I think.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's very much just like how in an airplane, right? Like before you try to help somebody put their mask on, right? You have to put on your mask first, right? So it's like I write so I can understand myself, right? I write so I can understand my mistakes, right? And through helping myself, I'll be able to help other people, right? If I can write like Petey Thomas's memoir. When I read that, I was like, yo, I grew up just like this. I grew up just like this. Like, and if he changed, I could change. So if I can help one kid to not fall into a life of crime, or if I can help another kid fall into a life of education, then I would have done my job.
Yeah. I think it's really important because a lot of people are now using stuff like TikTok and YouTube and all this other stuff as role models, but we really need like people to have a deeper understanding, not just like a 2-minute clip of, somebody's perspective. And when you have something like a long form written thing like a memoir or a movie even or documentary, it really helps people solidify those types of things versus, quick hits because you're just gonna scroll on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and you're just like you don't really absorb it, I think.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Like how I was saying about reading for pleasure and stuff. So it's like when you have a long form of an art, right, and and you're really learning from it and taking in pleasure, like you hold it more, right, and the longer you hold it, the more meaning it will have for you, right, and the more meaning you have for it, right, the more meaning you can and help you can administer to the people around you.
Mhm. Hattie, do you mean Danny Trejo? Is that the book you're talking about? Have
Oh, I know who Danny Trejo is, but no, I've never read his book.
Oh, Hattie, if you can put a little snippet so we can I know he's an actor and he's well known as like the gangster in all of these movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a cool
I'm sure
dude.
he
Yeah.
has a very interesting perspective, especially I'm not sure exactly what the book is about, but curious to hear what that is.
Yeah, no, that guy got an interesting life story. He also was, I believe, he was like the light heavyweight champion at in boxing. He was the light heavyweight champion of Jesus Christ, what I can't remember. Folsom is not open no more, so I can't remember. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But one of those notorious California prisons, he was the man in there. Yeah, Hattie says he was. Yeah,
Yeah. So
but I've
it's
never
yeah,
read any of his books.
I didn't even know he wrote a book, but I
Yeah,
we both need
that
to.
dude is busy. He's a gangster.
Maybe we can do a book club and talk
Maybe.
about Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest lessons you learned from your MFA were?
What were my biggest lessons? Uh, I'm very weird. I'm very weird in the fact that like in undergrad I never took a real English class, right? And in MFA, I don't have imposter syndrome, right? But like I kind of felt like I didn't belong because like I was in there with a lot of like all-star writers and stuff, like guys who and girls who were like English majors and literature majors and stuff, like, like I could tell you everything that there is to know about a push-up and weights and stuff, but I couldn't like talk to you about verbs and nouns and adjectives and stuff like that, right? And then people were like, Mike, but you're so descriptive and you're so like, how did you learn how to write? How do you learn how to read? And I always tell everybody, like, I'm an enormous fan of comic books and cartoons and graphic novels and rap music and comedians and stuff. So that's how I learned how to write. And then when I was at MFA, I think that the most important thing and that I took away was community, right? So like workshopping, right? So like, and I always joke with everyone like that I'm crazy and stuff. And like the way that I write is very much the way that I talk, right? Like I'm all over the place. I'm just like throwing everything onto the page and sees what sticks, right? And then when I get my feedback, then that's when I fine tune and stuff. And I think that the most important thing that I got out of my MFA was the building of community, that cohort, right? And you got to find a group of people who are like-minded, right? Like-hearted, um, and a group, that cohort, in order for you to bounce your work off of and get that feedback from them. And then, so it's like, like the saying, like if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you'll be the fifth millionaire or whatever, right? So if you want to be a writer, hang out with writers. And that's what I felt like I was doing at MFA. Right, I was hanging out with a bunch of writers, and I was like bouncing all these ideas off of these writers and stuff. And these writers were trusting me with their work and stuff, and like I was like editing their work and like trying to find mistakes and trying to give them feedback. And I felt like that made me a much better writer, reader, and it also made me grow emotionally and spiritually. So that, yeah, that's what I took away. Like, and I still keep in contact with a lot of the people from my first cohort and the people from my second cohort. Like there's a lot of people that I trust, and I just send them stuff outside of my of our assignments and stuff like that. Yo, what do you think about this? Yo, give me some feedback on this. Yo, blah blah blah. Or send me whatever, and so that's what I took away from MFA community, like finding those like-minded, those like-hearted people that you can trust.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest lessons that we all learn as creative people, especially if you're like a writer or something in a similar vein where you're doing solitary work for like 99% of the time and you get that 1% time to really engage with people and get feedback and really work together to make everybody better is important because we all feel like we need to be the best first go around. We don't need any help, right? But I
Right, right,
think
right.
working in community is often the thing that makes us better writers, communicators, speakers, whatever it is, because you can't do anything alone. like as humans or just why
Right, right.
work together.
Yeah, everyone always says that like writing is a lonely sport, right? Or a solitary sport. And in an aspect, it is true, right? Because like kind of no one is with you when you're in it, right? When you're in the thick of it, right? But like once you once any writer is finished, right? Like a writer's got to have some kind of a soundboard to bounce it off of, right? Like it could be your lover, it could be your best friend, right? It can be your class, you know. It can be it can be anybody, and then like a lot of writers like some writers are introverts, right? Like they when they like being, but like I think uh some part of a writer, right, is also an exhibitionist, right? Because like you write in hopes of being read. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's something that you want to share with the world, right? There's and in that art that you're creating, that you're putting on paper, there are pieces of you in there, big piece. So there are pieces of you that you want the world to see. You know, so as an artist, there are pieces of you that you want the world to see, and you put it all online, you put it onto the paper, you put it into these books and stuff. So like a lot of writers, even though they are introverts, a lot of writers are exhibitionists. And I mean that in the best sense of the word, you know?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
really doing it to, I think, like we were saying earlier, just help more people
Right.
because we can, if we hold on to this information, it goes with us to the grave, right? If you don't write it down
That's
or put
right.
it in
That's right. Yeah,
something,
yeah.
all of that leaves with you and nothing is preserved. So I think it's important for everyone, regardless of if you're famous or not famous, whether you have a deep message or not a deep message, you need to put it down somewhere just so that there's a record of you having been here. And I think that's why
Of having
journaling was
existed. That's right.
so popular before, the internet. I think people probably journaled a lot more than they do now. And I think it's really helpful to put it all out there. If nothing else, then for yourself. You can go back into the past and read what you did or read what you're thinking and all this stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I also find that like when you're going back and you're thinking like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that I thought that," or "I'm not that person anymore," right? So it's a way to document your evolution, right? Your or your thought process. Like, yeah, I'm not a big journaler, right? But when I do, and I go like, "Man, I can't believe I thought that," right? So but it's good to see that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think doing something like a memoir is a similar form of it's just like long form stylistic journaling versus everyday. This is what I was thinking at this time. It's really
Right,
longer time span and more artistic than something like just a daily journal or something.
right, right, right.
And people also do things like blogs and all this other stuff. It's not like you have to use a journal as a daily reflection. You can use writing as a reflection in any form as long as you're doing it in some manner.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with. That's kind of why I started my Substack. You know, like because like a lot of writers, and I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Artist's Way, right? Like I've read that book a couple times and stuff, and like a lot of writers, try to. I mean, a lot of writers do. I'm not your average writer in this aspect. Like sometimes I'll go a week, sometimes I'll go a week and a half, 2 weeks without writing. And that's why I kind of started the Substack. Like, you know what, man, I need to start. Writers write, right? Like, so it's like I opened up this Substack and I'm like, wow, all right. But it's forced me again. I don't journal, but like, and I don't always publish everything that I write. But like, I find myself writing more, right, every day, and I'm like, oh, all right, wait, this is worthy enough to go online or whatever. So it's like, yeah, like I guess I do got to journal a little bit more.
Yeah. Is it I wanna know, since you say you don't write every day or you write every sporadically, how were you able to complete this memoir? Because you also had a job, right? You had a full time job. You
Right.
had
Yeah. Well, I'm
classes,
very
and you had
good.
kids.
Yeah, I'm very good when, okay, this is why I'm back in school, right? Um, I'm very good when it comes to deadlines, right?
Mm.
And I tell people all the time, and like no one believes me, but I'm the, yeah, and like Mike, like you ran the New York marathon like 5, 6 times or whatever, right? I'm the laziest person that I know, right? Um, and even though I said, yeah, I want to write this book, if I don't have someone holding me accountable for something, I won't do it, right? I won't do it. And even when I was in my MFA the first time, right? Like when I was in my MFA the first time, like everybody who was doing their stuff, they started working on it the first semester that they were there. They started working on it, right? Like I literally did not do my memoir until my final semester. So like the final semester of the second year, and then I opened up my laptop, and over the course, I think I'm not kidding, of like 9 or 10 days, and like 9 or 10 days, coffee fueled rage, just banged it out like, and then I handed it in just so I could graduate, right? And I think it was like 28,000 words or something like that, right? And they was like, all right, you're good, like you can graduate. And then I didn't touch it for like I didn't touch it for like a year or something like that, right? And then it was just sitting there. And then um I was like, man, I feel like I didn't learn enough at MFA. And I applied uh to a PhD program in English and creative writing. And I was like, all right, that's gonna whip my butt back into shape, and I'm gonna finish this memoir for real, right? And then I didn't get in. So I didn't touch the memoir, I didn't touch anything for like another year, right? And then I applied again to this program and I didn't get in. I was like, ah! And then a mentor, a friend of mine, she was like, dude, you don't need a PhD. She's like, I know why you want to get a PhD. You want to get a PhD because you're a man and it's an ego thing, and you wanna it's gonna be the perfect cap cornerstone on your thing. And I was like, yeah, yeah. She's like, you don't need it. She was like, you don't need it. If you really feel like you didn't learn anything, right? Which you shouldn't feel like that, but fine. If that's how you feel, and if you feel like you need more communities, she was like, go back and get another MFA. And yeah, and what you need to do is be in a group. You need to be in another group, and those kids, those other students, those other MFA guys will push you. And I've been in this program for a year now, and I've been able to grow my memoir from about 28,000 words, and now I think I'm up to like 58,000 words, 58 to 60, and I'm being more diligent and more disciplined about writing every day a little bit more, about editing and stuff. And again, like I said, like I worked with the editor developmental editor who helped me shape my memoir more. And like, so yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, very undisciplined. Like I'm not like one of those writers. Like I love to watch these writers like on Instagram or Substack, like get ready with me, and they set up their things and they put their candles and their incense, and like I drink green tea. It's like at 5 a.m. and from 5 to 7, I don't do anything but write. Like, nah, man, I'm up every morning at 3:30 a.m. I gotta train my first client like at 5 in the morning. So by the time I'm done with work, I get home like around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I crash. Like I sleep for about 2 or 3 hours, and then it's daddy time. I gotta take care of the kids. I gotta help my wife or whatever. And then before I know it, I'm back to school again. So I write, I write whenever I can. And when I do write, it's like on coffee and on Red Bull fueled rage. Like just like so yeah, it's yeah, but like I wish I could get to that point where all I had to do was write,
Mhm.
but like that's why I said like I'll never have that time again. Like right now, like the dream is to just like get this get this book published, right? Once I get it published, and hopefully I'll be able to pick up a little momentum. I mean, also I think that that's every writer's dream, right? I think that's every writer's dream. So like that's to become. That's why a lot of times I say I'm not a real writer yet, even though like I am, right? But like the goal is to like become where I can solely survive on my writing, and then I want to become a professor. I want to teach, right? Like I want to teach people about my transformation, about my growth, like what I've learned, what I'm continued, what I'm learning still, because like it never ends. Even though I'm going to be graduating next year with my second MFA, I'm still hungry. I still don't know a lot of things. I still don't know a lot of things. So it's like, and the only way to know is to keep pushing yourself, right? To keep challenging yourself. And for me, going back to school is one of those ways to keep learning. And I
Yeah.
want to teach people what I learned.
I think the most important thing is to figure out your own methods for doing things because everyone works different. Addie had a different way of working when we had our chat last
Sure.
week. I have a different way of writing. I also write in group, and also knowing that you need accountability is also very important because then you'll know in the future when you need to, if the MFA, when the MFA ends, you can find another group of people. It might not be an MFA, but it's another form of input and accountability through your
Sure,
writing.
sure. And I think that I mean it's very similar to the way that I'm a trainer, right? The people who come to me to train, like they're looking for accountability in physical fitness, right? So like I hold them accountable, right? Like and we make a contract, right? Like and we exchange information, we exchange time, we exchange money, right? And we hold each other accountable, right? They hold me accountable to be there on time to teach them things, right? And I hold them accountable to what we agreed to. So it's like accountability yeah, that's great that you said that. Accountability is a great thing and a great motivator to keep people accountable.
Yeah.
You know.
Just figure out whatever it is that works for you is
Right,
really
right.
good.
Yeah, and everybody works different. Like yeah, like some people can write from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Some people write only at night. Some people write in short coffee fueled bursts. Like so we're all figuring it out.
Yeah, I talked to another writer and she said she had to transcribe through Google Docs because she was nursing her new baby at the time of
Oh
her wanting to
wow.
write the book.
Yeah.
And when you have an idea and it doesn't go away, you figure out ways to make it happen. So she's like, "This is the only way I can do it, so that's the way I'm going to do it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like when we were in the Marines, right? Like one of our sayings was like, if it works, it ain't stupid, right? Like it ain't stupid if it works, right? So like if it works, it works. Like and there's always ways that you can improve on a working situation and stuff. Like and you find ways to like work smarter, not harder and stuff. But like if it works, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So like you find a way and you learn about it and you improve on it and you just keep plugging, right? And you keep stepping one step at a time. One page at a time, one word at a time. Yeah. There's this guy on Instagram, and I took some classes with him on how to speak and everything. And he has this one saying that says, how do you eat an elephant?
I would
It's
assume
super
one bite at
simple.
a time.
One bite at a time, right? Like one bite at a time, right? And I think that applies to a lot of um that applies to a lot of situations, right? Or whatever you said earlier, right? Like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step,
Yeah.
right? It's not that hard, right? So like a book starts with a word, and that one word becomes a sentence, and that one sentence becomes a paragraph, and before you know it, you got a chapter. So it's just like, and you just keep adding and adding and adding. It's simple. It's hard, but it's simple, right? And I think that happens in a lot of situations, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I was gonna ask you what advice you had for aspiring authors, but I think you just gave a perfect, advice for everybody. Got a couple more questions left.
Yeah,
Who are
yeah.
some, writers or authors that you know that, stand out to you?
Right now, yeah, right now I'm a big fan of have you read Heavy?
I have not.
Oh man, you got to look for this book Heavy by Casey Layman. It's a memoir. It's a great book, man. And Amir Ryan Scott is one another of my favorite writers. He has two books out right now. One is called The World Doesn't Require You, and the other book is called Insurrections. Um and then like my trusted old time favorites is like Stephen King. Like I'm a big
Mhm.
horror fan. Um and of course like P.D. Thomas and Angie Cruz and stuff like that. So like those are a lot of the writers who I grew up on, and try to model myself after.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, what message do you want people to take away from your memoir? I know it's not out for everybody to
Yeah,
read yet,
no,
but
no,
when it
no.
comes out.
I think that one of the one of the messages that like never give up. Like just and I know that sounds corny, but like that it's so real. Like and never stop believing in yourself, right? And never count yourself out. And like always, you know, that there are no shortcuts, right? Hard work is real. And if you keep work, you know, if you keep working, like eventually one day, as long as you still want it, you'll get it. Like every every author that I know of, right? Like it's like, man, I got rejected 30 times, but on the 31st time I hit, right? So I don't think there are many artists, and if there are, there's like one and but like no one hits on their first time, on their first try, right? And I think that, rejection is normal, right? Rejection, but you just got to keep on going until all it takes is one yes. Right?
Mhm.
All it takes is one yes. So like always believe in yourself. Don't count yourself out, and just keep trying. Just keep trying. If one door closes, like, or if all your doors keep closing, make your own door. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's so important because we try to control things that we have no control over. Like, I need this to be approved by somebody, but
Right.
we don't have the ability to say that they're gonna do this. So the only thing that you can do is continue to, do things in a way that puts you in the best potential position, and a lot of times it's luck or even just the person. So if it went to one, person for approval instead of another, that could mean the difference between getting accepted and not getting accepted.
Right. Yeah. And I think that right. It's funny that you said like the word need, right? Like I think like a lot of people need is such a funny word, right? Because like all we really need is like, you know, food and shelter, right? Like, and then everything else is a want, right? So it's just like you might want something, right? But that might not be it, right? Like sometimes you think you want something, right? But it's just like, or sometimes like what you need is not what you want, and what you want is not what you need, right? So it's just like you have to play everything by ear. if that makes any sense, right? And you have to learn how to roll with the punches, right? And you have to learn how to make the best out of the worst situation a lot of times. Like I think that's what like that's another thing that I take away from my memoir, right? Like I was I, I was kind of lucky, right? And again, like I was just talking with a friend about this, right? Like yeah, like I've been lucky, right? But I don't like that word lucky either, right? Because like you kind of have to be prepared too, right? So it's like you gotta you gotta prepare yourself for when the luck comes, right? Because like,
Mhm.
so it's like if you're not it's like that joke where the guy I told you I was crazy, but it's like that it's like that joke where the guy wants to um win the lotto, but like then he never plays the lotto, right? It's like you got to be in it to win it, right? And I know that sounds weird and everything and stuff, but it's like you gotta work hard so when luck comes knocking on your door, you're prepared, right? So you gotta in order to be successful, you gotta work for it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. There's some sort of quote along the lines of luck plus preparation equals success, right?
Right,
So, so we can't control luck,
right,
obviously,
right,
but we
right,
can prepare for the moment that luck hits us, right?
right,
So
right. That's
we just
so
got to be
true.
ready.
You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready.
Yeah. Uh, what challenge would you give to people in order to be a better writer and to stand out in your writing?
Um, set goals to challenge yourselves. Like I said, right? Like that. I'm like I stutter a lot. I stutter a lot, right? And I have a I mean like I suffer a little bit from anxiety, right? So it's like I put myself in situations like I started the Substack a year ago, right? And now I just started like doing all these public speakings and I'm like going to all these poetry readings. So like challenge yourself to do something that you've never done. Challenge yourself to tackle a fear. Like one of the reasons why, and this sounds stupid, but one of the reasons why I started doing triathlons was because I was afraid of water. And I know everybody's like, Mike, but you're a Marine, you know how to swim or whatever, right? But it makes no sense. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna conquer this fear and just gonna start doing triathlons, right? Because I'm gonna start swimming, right? So like, do something that scares you. And that will make you a better person, right? It's like if you can do one hard thing, he's like, man, if I do one hard thing, I can do another hard thing. And then before you know it, you've accomplished, a mountain of hard things, right? And then the next thing that comes to challenge you, you're gonna be like, man, you know what? I can, I've done harder things, or I've done harder things a bunch of times. This is gonna be easy. And I know this sounds crazy, right? But like when I was a young kid, when I was 18 years old, right? Like I went to college and I failed out of college. I failed out of college twice actually, but I couldn't sit still, right? I couldn't sit still
Hmm.
in order to finish it, right? And then as an adult at the age of 37, I was like, man, I've done survive so much. I've done survive so much harder things. Like I can do this little class. I can sit here for an hour. I can listen to this boring teacher. I can listen to this boring assignment. I can finish. I can read this boring book or whatever. It sounds trivial and stuff, but it's true. If you do one hard thing, you can do the next. So you got to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do hard things. Challenge yourself to do things that you think that you can't. With proper preparation, I bet you can.
Yeah, I think the only way that we can actually grow is to put ourselves into the discomfort at least a little bit. When I was in college, I was not a great public speaker or anything, so I took improv classes, and that
Right,
allowed me to be better at being in front of people and talking off the cuff and all this other stuff. So it's really how do you put yourself into position in order to make yourself better? And that doesn't
right,
mean you have to do anything crazy. You just take it one small step at a time.
That's right. That's right. That's so funny that you say about the improv. One of my friends, a client and a fellow writer of mine, told me that and she's a published author and everything, and she took an improv class and she said that made her a better writer. Now she's doing stand up comedy. How funny is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, like so she put herself in a situation to challenge herself, and now so it's like yeah, like yeah, people do something that scares you. You'll be surprised how much stronger you'll come out at the other end.
yeah,
Just don't do any triathlons like me without.
yeah. Or don't do anything that'll get you in trouble.
That's right. Yeah.
Is also good advice in general. Well, Big Mike, it's been amazing talking to you. I think,
Kevin, yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much, man. I can't maybe we'll do it again in a year or so.
yeah, when your memoir is closer to
After the
coming
book
out or when it's
has been
out.
published, yeah. But yeah, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And Hattie, thank you so much for all of your
Yeah,
feedback.
thanks for
Um,
everybody else that was in here.
yeah, yeah.
Is there anywhere else that people can visit you to keep up to date with all your stuff?
Yeah, I don't have as much social media as I should. Not yet. I only have I only have a Substack here, and I believe my name on Substack is also Big Mike Castle, and then I have Instagram Big Mike Castle. So that's the only two places that you can follow me on, and it's the only two places where I publish religiously. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for having me and for letting me talk your ear off. This was fun. Yeah, I this is the best way for me to spend a Friday night. Yeah, this is I was like I'm such a nerd. Like actually though, my family they went out shopping right now, um, for late Christmas gifts, um, and they're not gonna be back for like another 45 minutes. So I'm gonna be writing and stuff. But like this is for me, like a lot of people like to go out and party and do whatever. Like I like to stay Friday night home in my cozy socks and stuff with a cup of coffee, and I just like to write or talk about books and stuff. It's the best way for me to spend a Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. It was definitely fun, and we look forward to having your book published and reading it, and maybe we'll talk about Danny Trejo's book.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, dude. Yo, I'm gonna keep in contact, but next year definitely we'll meet again next year. Definitely.
Yeah, all right.
All right,
Catch up.
brother. I appreciate you, man. And
Appreciate you.
take care of yourself down there in beautiful Costa Rica. Enjoy the sun because it's snowing like crazy up here. All right, brother. Yeah, yeah. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. All
All
right,
right,
see you
brother.
all later.
Peace.
All right, bye.
Later.